I have almost no doubt. I mean, if I have time, I'm going to actually go to the board meeting and ask the person, what is the demand elasticity of credit hours? They're going to probably look at me, what language is that? If you remember from your basic microecon, elasticity is percentage change in demand as a consequence of percentage change in the price. And there's one well-known theorem: if demand elasticity is greater than 1, any increase in the price decreases the revenue. Okay? So without knowing these numbers, these people are making stuff. Years ago, this was during Bevan administration, we had a lot of education cuts, and they decided, as faculty member or staff member at EKU, our dependents can take up to 12 hours for free. And in fact, and up right now up to 18. If I have 2 dependents, I get free only for the first 12, then I have to pay, something like that. And somebody who thought he was so smart, oh, if we reduce that exemption to 9 hours, that's going to make us $500,000 a year. And I was in the faculty senate, and I got up and I told the president, if you pass that and you make more than $50,000, I'm going to climb the Boone statue naked. Obviously, nobody ever wanted to see that. And I kind of developed a guerrilla survey. I sent it to everybody on my mailing list, and I told them to send it to everybody in their mailing list. It asked the simple 2 questions. A, are you using this facility? B, if you do, and if this policy passes, how many hours are you going to use? The answer was, among those who used it, 95% 9 hours. I had a product that cost me nothing. Now you increase the price of that. Of course, I'm going to reduce my demand. I mean, it wasn't very genius of me to figure that out, but I had to show it to them. I developed this survey 9 a.m. in the morning. I lived in Lexington those days, and I had ulterior motives. I was dating a lady from EKU who was a staff member, and her daughter was using that. If this passed, she was going to graduate 1 year later. Romantic motives. By 4 o'clock, I get an email from the university president. He says, "Okay, you made your point," because people sent him. I made the results of the survey open to everybody. It was a simple Google survey, nothing that complicated, and they reversed the policy. So similar kind of people are running the show, so I'm kind of, I'm always, one of my mottos, I think it goes back to Spinoza, if I'm not mistaken, de omnibus dubitandum. You guys know what that means? Doubt everything. That is the basis of scientific thought. Okay? Unless it is scientifically established, doubt everything. Somebody tells you something, ask them why. Why do you think I keep going through? Why is that the right answer? Doubt everything. Just because I tell you something is right doesn't make it right. Me explaining, establishing that it is right, then it becomes scientific thought. Otherwise, what's the difference between that and asking the capital of Ethiopia? Okay, I can find that on Google. There's no reason. That's information. That's not knowledge. Yeah. But forecasting risk is real. That means those numbers like NPV, IRR, and other stuff are affected by those. So how do I handle that? Mm. And other investment criteria. We can do two things. One of them is called sensitivity analysis. Basically, here the point of sensitivity analysis is to figure out among the inputs that I use, which one is uh, affecting my investment criteria the most, MPV. In a sense, I'm going to look at something like the elasticity of MPV with respect to inputs. What are the biggest things that are subject to forecasting risk? Sales is definitely one of them. In many cases, things like variable costs are easier to estimate because variable costs tend to be related to sales, either as a percentage or some other formula. Things like fixed cost is another example where you may have issues. Future tax rates, that's another one. Things like depreciation, initial cost estimates, they're probably not subject to that much forecasting risk, but net working capital maybe. Because if I'm going to be selling 1 million instead of 500,000, I'm going to need more net working capital to support those sales. Because if I'm selling 1 million, I need more inventory. I need more accounts receivable if I'm letting my clients buy on trade credit and stuff like that. The way you do sensitivity analysis is you look at the effect of changing one input while keeping the others constant, the so-called ceteris paribus, which is Latin for keeping everything else the same. I may end up taking some Latin courses soon. I started the Latin course on Duolingo, but it's too short. If I can fit it into my schedule, I can actually take 2 semesters of Latin. I do know a lot of expressions, but so let's kind of do that on this example. I'm just going to do it for net sales. Obviously, you can do it for every one of them. If I change sales by $1,000, what's going to be the effect on, I mean, I can do it by one, but what's going to be the effect on MPV? Since I have everything in formula except MPV, here I'm going to calculate the MPV because I don't want to go back to the other one and do it. Use the MPV function. The first argument is the discount rate. The second argument are the future cash flows. And you add back the period zero. Unfortunately, the NPV function in Excel is not the NPV that we want. It's the present value of the future cash flows. If I'm not mistaken, that should be the same as, yeah, the other one. Now I'm going to change this to 301,000. Okay. Or let's do this. Base. Let's copy this. Well, to make, let's just put it in there. Maybe to make it positive, let me make this 500,000, not 5 million. And even at that, okay. I'm going to copy this and paste the value. Again, nothing wrong with working negative numbers. I just dislike it. Now I'm going to make this 601. So difference. So every $1,000 in sales increases my MPV by 1784. Typically, it's not easy to relate, so I'm going to calculate the elasticity. Percentage change in MPV relative to the base divided by percentage change in sales. I increased it by 1,000. My original number was 600,000. So elasticity is 749. That's a big number. Okay. So each 1% increase in net sales increases my MPV by 7.5%. I can repeat the same exercise for different things. How about we do it for fixed costs? Uh, let's let's make that 51,000. And I'm going to divide that by 50. Elasticity of the fixed cost is negative 113.